And a warm welcome to Donington Park for the opening round of the British GT Championship. Well, the competition this year is hot, and there's been a slight change to the race format. As well as the 1 hour sprint races, they've introduced a 2 hour endurance race, which will include a refuelling stop. So the action in this championship is going to be fantastic. The grids should be closed with possibly the widest variety of competitive cars that's been seen in a while. So expect to see plenty of close action with some top quality drivers behind the wheel. Last year's runners-up, Nathan Kinch and Andrew Kirkcaldy in the Scuderia Ecos Ferrari, were arguably the fastest pairing out there, but struggled with the driver handicap system. That's changed for this year, so can they go one better?
Yeah, the rule changes helped us dramatically. I mean, we were trying to find 20 seconds over 1 hour, which was hard. You know, this year with the rules being equal, it should be easier for us.
For sure, we're all very confident, pumped up to. Obviously, the aim is to win the championship, and we have a very good package, and it's good to have continuity in the team. So hopefully, we can do the business.
Mike Jordan's Eurotech Porsche struggled with reliability last year, but he's always fast, and with new teammate Michael Caine, could be a contender.
He did a few Porsche Cup races last year with Pete Chambers, got on very well with the car. I mean, people go on about you need to be a 911 specialist to drive them quickly. I think it's a load of rubbish, really. If you can drive, you can drive, and I knew Caine would be absolutely on the money, and he is. I've known him well from TVR Tuscans. We had a fantastic couple of years together there, and I'm sure it'll be a very strong partnership this year.
The TVR lineup is looking strong. Patrick Pearce teams up with Warren Hughes, and both should be on the pace.
The TVR's got less aerodynamic performance, but it's a fantastic car mechanically. On the brakes, it's fantastic. It's got very good traction, and some circuits are going to suit it better than others. So it'll be interesting to see how it pans out over the course of the season. But I think we can certainly be challenging for race wins.
Lawrence Tomlinson partners the very quick but underused Johnny Caine, who could be out to prove a point this year.
After doing Formula 3, I did a few Formula 3000 races, then 2 years of Indy Lights in the States, and then into the MG. So, I've only raced prototype sports cars until last year, the TVR 2 races in the LMES. At the end of the day, a car's a car. If you can drive quickly, you can drive anything quickly, really.
Joining Neil Cunningham, former ASCAR champion Ben Collins has now become a permanent member of the embassy team.
They've started from scratch with hiring completely new personnel, equipment, the car, the whole lot. That's quite different to what I was driving last year, racing around in circles, but with, like I say, the odd outing in GTs. And, really same sort of thing. I've raced at these tracks before, and I've raced in sports prototypes and that kind of thing, so it should be a really good fun season.
Well, the pre-season favourites of Andrew Kirkcaldy and Nathan Kinch line up in pole position here on the grid. But can they keep that chasing pack behind them? Well, it is a 2 hour endurance. Only time will tell. Here's Ben.
Thanks, Diana. Well, another storming lap from Andrew Kirkcaldy put his Ferrari on pole ahead of teammate Chris Niarchos. While the first Porsche on the grid is the Team Eurotech car, and that's being started by Michael Caine. Lawrence Tomlinson's at the wheel of the fastest of his 2 TVRs on the grid. Patrick Pearce starts the other. Ben Collins is in the Embassy Racing Porsche, with David Jones in the second Team Eurotech car next. Piers Johnson starts in the Eclipse Motorsports Mosler, and the fastest qualifier in the GT3 class, the Cup class as it used to be known, is the Quaife RPM Porsche of Alex Mortimer and Phil Quaife. So 26 cars preparing for the start of this 2 hour race. We've got 11 of the faster, more powerful GT2 cars and 15 of the more standard GT3 cars. Sadly, no Vauxhall Monaro from Emotional Engineering. That had problems on the eve of the race, so it's not competing, but we are all set to go racing. Those 2 Scuderia Ecos Ferraris lining up together then. They'll head through the chicane. It's a rolling start, remember. So Andrew Kirkcaldy will set the pace, waiting for the lights to go out, and then floor the throttle. We're coming down towards the start. We rode for a second with Michael Caine. He's on the second row of the grid, and away we go then. Racing underway, and it's a good start from Andrew Kirkcaldy He takes the lead, cuts across his teammate Chris Niarchos, a clear approach into the first corner. Oh, a little bit of a slide from the second Ferrari. And look at Michael Caine nipping through on the inside there. So Michael Caine takes second place, and the other Embassy Porsche right behind him of Ben Collins going well. Down through the Craner curves they go for the first time. Andrew Kirkcaldy already beginning to make a little bit of a break. Now I'm with very experienced sports car racer Rob Bath. Rob, we're watching the first race of the season, an opportunity to see who's got their sums right over the winter.
Absolutely, Ben. A little bit rusty there off the start from Chris Niarchos, and a cracking, opportunistic piece of driving from both Michael Caine and Ben Collins to swoop through into second and third. So it'll be interesting to see if Andrew Kirkcaldy can pull away at the head of the field.
Now, Julian Westwood is one of the fastest in the GT3 class, what used to be known as the Cup class. He's right there with the Ultima, which runs in the GT2 class. So this is impressive stuff from Julian, a very experienced racer. It's great to see him back out.
Yeah, lots of performance difference there on paper between the Porsche Cup car and the Ultima ahead, but you can see the Porsche is quite happy running with the faster of the GT2 runners.
Yeah, and actually getting past the zero competition Corvette as well on the way into the chicane. So it's Kirkcaldy who leads, Caine in second from Collins, then Chris Niarchos in the other Ferrari, chased by David Jones and Patrick Pearce. Coming through the shot, the other TVR there, also of Lawrence Tomlinson, and there is car number 9. That is the Tech 9 GT3 class car. They had all sorts of problems with that in the qualifying sessions. Thankfully, they've got the car running all right now, and Dimitri Taverikos going well. Now, just joining the circuit is Piers Johnson in the Mosler. They've had some clutch problems, we gather, so that's why he's come out rather slowly from the pit lane. We're now riding on board with Michael Caine. Oh, sliding around a bit. Michael's not feeling too well, I know, this weekend. In fact, it's more than that. He's got problems here, hasn't he?
Yeah, it looks to be the left rear of the car's a bit wayward. Could be a wheel bearing, perhaps, I'm not sure.
Car really wobbling around, isn't it? And he's just letting cars go past him. Michael never lets anybody go past him normally.
No, Michael's a very competitive driver, and he's clearly got mechanical troubles there.
Well, that's a great disappointment, this number 77 car going into the championship as one of the favourites, certainly for race victories, but he's surely heading into the pits. We go past on board with Julian Westwood. He's still battling with Stephen Brady in the Ultima, and this is a great... Oh, this door's flown off. The door's come off the Ultima. Thankfully, it didn't hit the Porsche.
Yeah, I thought for a moment Steve was trying to get out there coming down the pit straight, but no, just the door falling off the Ultima there.
So somewhat unfortunate, that car that was so competitive at the end of last season at Brands Hatch, if you remember, but competitive throughout last year was this number 35 Ferrari, and Andrew Kirkcaldy's just stretching out his advantage at the moment. Now, oh, a big slide there from Ricky Cole in the number 51 Corvette. That almost looked like he was on oil or something.
The old hairpin there was a very quick corner they were coming through, and as he turned in, you clearly saw the back end of the car slide around, and yeah, it could have been oil. Michael there in the pits, being attended to by the Team Eurotech mechanics, trying to fix the problem, I think.
Yeah, well, you said there was something wrong with the left rear. That's where they're working, and, well, is it just a loose wheel? Is it a wheel bearing? I wonder what it is.
I don't know, the air gun going on there.
It looks like they're getting ready to send him back out again. Quick check over, so it might just have been that the wheel came loose for some reason.
At the start of the season, Ben, it's quite usual for the teams to have their wheels painted, so perhaps as they've done the wheel up, it's tightened onto the paint and maybe not the rim, perhaps, I'm not sure.
Well, away goes Michael. He's back into the race, but of course I think that means he's probably lost a couple of laps there. Now just coming out of Redgate corner, good battle going on between David Jones and Patrick Pearce. Pearce in the number 43 TVR, David Jones in the black and silver Porsche, and Pearce is really breathing down his neck. Can he find a way through here? No. David Jones just keeping it a little protected, but I wonder how much longer, because TVR's alongside on the grass. Patrick Pearce looking very determined.
Through Schwanzkirch there at 140 miles an hour before braking hard for McLean's. Patrick clearly trying to find a way past David Jones sooner rather than later, Ben.
This is for fourth place, because now Michael Caine's been into the pits. It means that David Jones is now in fourth and Patrick Pearce in fifth position, and Patrick looking very racy. Former Cup class winner a couple of years ago when he shared a car with Matt Griffin, and now he's in the GT2 class and he wants to go for race victories. He has to go to the outside coming down towards the chicane. Surely he can't go around the outside there. No, he cuts back on the inside. Has to try again. Now he's got a good exit out of the chicane. Can he make it stick this time?
So often we saw touring car style racing last year, Ben, and it looks like we've got that again this season. Patrick looking around the outside of Redgate there, and no, can't quite make it again, and David cuts across to the apex of Redgate there.
David and Godfrey Jones, two very experienced pilots, are sharing this car, but now Patrick's got a little bit of a chance. He's on the outside through the craners, but this will put him on the inside for the old hairpin. He's done it already.
Mega. What a great piece of driving there from Patrick Pearce. Really committed around the outside of the craners and really stamping his authority on that little battle now.
So he's into 4th place, and the next man he'll be chasing is Chris Niarchos in the Ferrari. But out in front at the moment, it is Andrew Kirkcaldy, who has stormed away from pole position and has been setting very, very quick laps indeed. So Scuderia Kos have a car in the lead and running in 3rd place. Looking good for them at the moment, but there's an awfully long way to go. Welcome back to Donington. We're riding with Michael Caine in the first round of the British GT Championship, and Michael having to make up for a lot of lost time when a wheel came loose on the first lap of the race. And as we head up the hill towards Coppice Corner, he's got some slower cars. Well, he's got a GT3 car, the number 30 car just ahead of him, still dicing away with the Ultima. It's Julian Westwood in the black Porsche, and then it's Stephen Brady in the Ultima, but the power of this RSR Porsche shows on the straight.
Yeah, Michael breezed past Julian there on the run up to the S's, and he'll be hoping to get past the Ultima as quickly as he can to make up for the ground he lost with that unfortunate pit stop early on.
So Michael just going flat out, that's all he can do at this stage. A quick look at the Tiger Marcos here, Team Tiger. They were race winners in the Cup class last year, but problems here for the number 31 car. That's Andy Britnell. He's got a punctured right front, so he's brought it into the pits. Let's hope they can get him back out. There's not too much damage done. Down the hill then, towards the old hairpin. Right, what's Michael trying to set up here, Rob?
I think he's just looking for a clean exit bend, so as he comes out of the corner, through Starkeys, then on the run up to Schwantz, he'll probably line him up on the inside.
See where Brady places his car. Is he going to block that inside line? He does a little bit, doesn't he?
Yeah. I think Michael might have a little sniff up the inside into Coppice here, though, if he can get good traction out of McLean's, yeah. But he's not quite managed it, just made to hold station, though. The Ultima has missed the clipping point at Coppice, so it's a real hard battle there. The Ultima seems to have a very good straight-line performance, but the Porsche, excellent on the brakes. I think Michael may get past here, and, yeah, he breezes by. The Ultima just seems to be suffering a little bit of top-end straight-line speed there, Ben. I wonder if that's caused by his lack of door.
Well, it must be pretty blowy in there, if nothing else. At least he's got a full-face helmet, so he won't notice it too much. We head down towards Redgate, and this is the battle for 3rd that's hotting up nicely now. Chris Niarchos in the Ferrari, under pressure from Patrick Pearce. Remember, Andrew Kirkcaldy still leads this race, but 3rd place in doubt here, because here comes Patrick Pearce squeezing down the inside. Another great pass from Patrick Pearce. We saw him move up to 4th earlier on. Now he's moved up to 3rd.
Pearce really on fire today. He just sliced past Chris Niarchos there, and you can see he's pulled out, what, about a 5 or 6 car length gap already.
Yeah, he's flying, and he's sharing this car with Warren Hughes. It's a very, very strong driver lineup. Warren will be watching this and seeing, looking forward to getting out later on. But this is the other TVR, number 42 car being driven by Lawrence Tomlinson, and that doesn't look quite so healthy, does it?
No, he's on fire in a completely different way. On board now with Ben Collins coming down into the S's.
TVR dropping oil on the circuit, Ben. TVR dropping oil on the circuit.
And you can hear Ben reporting back to the Embassy Racing crew. There's actually oil down on the track now, so that's probably going to affect lap times.
Yeah, that's going to make it difficult for everyone. Andrew Kirkcaldy still leads. Ben Collins running in 2nd place with that very fast TVR of Patrick Pearce in 3rd. Already pulled away a bit from Chris Niarchos. Then it's David Jones. Stephen Brady in the Ultima without a door. Still running in 6th place, though. So as we come through Redgate Corner, you can see Patrick Pearce just sliding it a bit through there. And into the pits comes that Lawrence Tomlinson TVR, the smoky one. Obviously, major problems. They're taking the bonnet off, having a good look. I wonder if they're going to get back out. It's Johnny Kane who's due to take this car over a little later on.
That's a real shame for the LNT team. They had a really good run at Sebring, the first 12-hour endurance sports car race of the year, and to come here and to show so well, it's a shame to see the car making such an early pit stop.
Chris Mount series scrutineer keeping a close eye on things. making sure they don't go back out unless they've got it sorted. The oil flag is out there, no great surprise, and hopefully everyone is well warned that it could be slippery. We're on board with Julian Westwood. He's still leading in the GT3 class, squeezing between a couple of other cars. There's the BMW Z3, car number 6. That's a new introduction to the championship. There's 2 of them out there, in fact, today. But I'm afraid out of the race goes Lawrence Tomlinson, out of the car. And it's, and look, the Mosler spun. The Mosler spun coming out of the chicane.
That's Piers Johnson, Ben. The Mosler might have just been caught out on the oil there. Now, hopefully, he can keep the engine running, because the car, remember, did start from the pit lane with clutch trouble. I think he might be struggling to get going there. No, he's just kept it rolling. Excellent stuff.
That's good news. Eclipse Motorsport actually had problems with their own car. Piers crashed their own car, so they've borrowed this one from Martin Short for the weekend. Keith Arler's in the Morgan. Obviously a punctured left front. They've got to get that changed as quickly as possible and hope to get him back out. Also, we saw problems with the TBR of Tomlinson. Diners with Johnny Kane.
Johnny, what happened with the car?
We've got some sort of oil leak, but it looks pretty terminal, I think. Bit disappointing. We qualified well, and you know, we're looking for a top 6 finish for the first race to set us up for the rest of the year. But Pat's having a really good run now. He's up behind Ben and pushing him pretty hard. So hopefully the second car will get a good result.
A bit frustrating that it's so early at the start of the race, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's disappointing because the cars run really well on Thursday and all week up until now. So you know, we had a similar sort of scenario in Sebring. The car ran perfectly all week, and then in the race, when everyone's watching, that's when we had our problems. So you know, it's just one of those things. You get problems from time to time. It's just unfortunate. It's right at the start of the race.
Well, bad luck for one TBR, but the other TBR still flying in the hands of Patrick Pearce. It's closed right up to second place man Ben Collins in the blue and red Porsche. And Patrick Pearce is flying. Look at the car just sliding through Redgate. He's thoroughly enjoying driving this machine.
Absolutely. It's the first time I think he's competed in a TBR in the UK, Ben. He's going very, very well. In a straight fight, I really would have put my money on Ben Collins in a 2005 spec Porsche 911 RSR, but Patrick's putting him under an enormous amount of pressure.
This is fantastic stuff, good racing. Now, is he going to find a gap? Ben Collins, extremely experienced, of course. Patrick again using the grass there. Oh, and sideways turning into the clays. Fantastic skill, great car control, but is he going to make the move on the way up to Coppice Corner? Yes, squeezing through on the inside. That was pretty determined.
Oh, I just got banged out of the way by the TBR, so I couldn't better let it go. No, man, let him go. Well,
Chit-chat there between Ben and his engineer on the pit wall there. He doesn't seem terribly happy with the move Patrick made, but it was a muscular move and he made it stick, so fair play to Patrick, I think.
Well, you said it's like touring car racing sometimes, and even more so, he's almost taking out those marker posts at the chicane. This is aggressive stuff from Patrick Pearce, but it's effective. He's up to second place. Ben Collins still keeping him honest, right in there. But look at Pearce, he's over the curb on the apex, slithering out to the exit. Fantastic to watch.
I think all heads will be now looking at the monitors, Ben, to see whether Patrick can make any inroads into that huge lead that Kokotti's got. He really needs to shake off Ben Collins sooner rather than later so he can just get his head down and try and pull back the lead that the Ferrari has.
He's taking no prisoners, is he? He's going straight past the slower cars as soon as he gets an opportunity. There he was going past David Ashburn in the number 20 Porsche in the GT3 class, but plus 17. That means that this car is 17 seconds ahead of the now second place TBR of Patrick Pearce. That's how quickly Andrew Kokotti has been going in these early laps. It's a very, very impressive stint. Julian Westwood, equally impressive in the GT3 class in the black Porsche. There he is ahead of the GT2 Chevrolet Corvette of Ricky Cole. Oh, there's a bit of a lock up there for the number 10 Nissan, and that's Ali McKeever in that car at the moment. He's sharing it with Michael Bentwood, but it's great to see that Nissan out. It's a brand new car to the championship. Of course, it's a very popular car on the road nowadays, and it's making an entry into British GT.
Great to see another manufacturer involved with the British GT Championship, and it'll be interesting to watch as the season progresses how they develop that car.
Ryan Hooker talking to Dave Beecroft there, the zero competition Corvette. Not going quite as quickly at the moment. They've all had to go back to standard FIA regulations in terms of the restrictors they use, and I think they might be pressurising to be given a bit of leeway as they were given last year, although as we say that, Ricky Cole nips back up the inside there of Julian Westwood.
Yeah, good move there by Ricky Cole, just pushing back past the GT3 car. I'm surprised he's sort of struggling back down there with the head of the GT3 field. The Corvette showed much more pace than that last year. Perhaps they're just struggling on the day today.
Now, Julian Westwood there, still leading in the GT3 class, but there's that GT2 Nissan 350Z. RJN Motorsports have worked very hard to get it ready for this weekend. And Ali Makiba, he's not a particularly experienced racer. Started racing later in his career than some, but he's doing a fine job. There's his co-driver, Michael Bentwood, who was racing in the British Touring Car Championship last year, but a lot of experience in Formula 3, so getting back into a rear-wheel drive is something he's relishing, and looking forward to getting his stint in the car by the looks of things. Now, here is our race leader fighting his way through the traffic. It is Andrew Kokodi. He's got a very healthy lead over Patrick Pearce in second, but he's got to stay out of trouble and avoid these back markers. I say back markers, really, they're all battling for their own race. And into the pits again has come Keith Arlers in the Morgan.
Second pit stop there for the Morgan, Ben, and they're continuing to look at that left front corner. It clearly had a puncture last time. The tyre had almost left the rim completely, but perhaps it's a different problem now.
Well, heading up in towards Coppice Corner, the number 30 car leading in GT3, that's Julian Westwood. Number 9 right behind, that's the Tech 9 car that had so many problems in practice and qualifying. And Dimitri Deverikos running in that car, and he's running second in class to this man, Julian Westwood. Oh, and maybe not second for much longer. He's just nipped through on the outside, as in the inside. David Jones gets past all of them. It's a Porsche fest, though. We've got GT3 Porsches, GT2 Porsches all together there, and somehow they managed to sort themselves out.
And Julian Westwood, I think, trying to communicate something to his Team Parker Racing crew on the pit wall there. But yeah, 4 abreast at one point there into the S's, I think, Ben.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff. He's just been passed by the Nissan 350Z, and well, he's just, I think he might have a little bit of a problem, as you say. He seemed to be communicating something. I'm not sure that he's running quite as quick. Oh, and just in front, the Nissan's out of shape. Oh, is he going to hold it? No, he's not. He's on the grass. He's in the gravel. He's heading towards the camera. Oh, and Ali Makiba has gone off at one of the fastest sections of this Donington Park circuit.
Ben, he was so lucky. He could so easily have rolled there. So often we've seen cars come down the Craner curves, get a little bit out of shape. Yours, mine, yours, and he's on the grass. And if he'd have dug in there, oh, that would have been the end of the Nissan, but fortunately not. They live to fight another day.
Well, that must have given him a few palpitations, I should think. They're getting the car moved as quickly as possible. Yellow flag down there while they sort it out, of course. No overtaking at the old hairpin until they get the car moved out of the way. He's staying in it for the moment, but I'm not sure if there's any opportunity for him to get back into this race. That might be the last chance that we see of that car. Meanwhile, here's the number 34 Ferrari. That's running in 4th position with Canadian businessman Chris Niarchos at the wheel and doing a fine job at the moment. His quick driver, Tim Mullen, will be taking over for the second half of this race. And there's the team getting ready, looking prepared for to put fuel in as well, of course. It's a longer race this time, so we've got the fuel rigs in attendance.
Yes, Ben, the GT2 cars do about an hour and 10 minutes on a tank of gas. They'll need to be stopping fairly shortly, and back on board now with Julian Westwood, so it will be interesting to see whether he comes in the pits this time round. And down the back straight, he's hardly pushing at all, so I do think he has a mechanical issue there.
Great shame, the Team Parker Racing entry. He was to share this with Martin Rich, but unless they get it sorted out, whatever the problem is, I'm not sure Martin's going to get many laps in, because Julian's just taking it steady, surely now heading in towards the pit lane, and it looks as though mechanical troubles have taken Julian Westwood out of a possible winning position in the GT3 class here at Donington in the first round of the championship. Very disappointing. Julian's been around motorsport for long enough to know that that's the way it goes sometimes. And it does look as though Martin Rich might be out of luck. Now there's Tim Mullen waiting to take over from Chris Niarchos, itching to go, no doubt, to see whether he can do anything about closing that gap up to the race leader, Andrew Kokodi. They're in 4th at the moment as Westwood's car, sadly, gets pushed away into the garage. There we see Chris Baton, the car he shares with John Finnemore. That Marcos is being lapped by Patrick Pearce. Patrick still running in a very strong second, but despite putting in those quick laps, he can't really do much about closing the gap to Kokodi. Bit of a locked break there.
Looks as if all that pushing early on from Patrick might have pushed the tyres past their best. He's coming up to the end of sort of 45-50 minutes now, so they'll probably be changing tyres at the pit stop. Warren Hughes there, ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, good to see Warren with a full-time ride this year. He did one British GT race last year when he stood in for Tim Sugden at Alton Park, sharing the drive with Jonathan Cocker, the man who went on to win the championship. Oh, that's Chris Niarchos. Chris has spun it at the chicane. What happened there?
I don't know, Chris was clearly putting a lap on one of the slower GT3 cars and just lost the back end as he just turned the car into Goddard's.
Well, he gets going again. Thankfully, he hasn't lost too much time, but that has put him almost a lap down. Look, there's his teammate, Andrew Kirkcaldy, just coming through, about to put a lap on him, as into the pits, Marco Attard. Oh dear, that looks a bit serious.
Yes, Ben, you can clearly see the mechanics there chasing some sort of fire down in the engine bay, and Marco very wisely jumps out of the car and lets the mechanics put the fire out.
Well, that's very disappointing. This team took 2 victories in the Cup class as it was last year, and they're not going to win GT3 here today. We're riding back on board with Michael Caine, still struggling to make up for that lost time when they had a wheel come loose early on in the race, but he's just been driving flat out ever since then.
Yes, Ben, it's nice to see Michael put in some quick, consistent lap times, cutting his way past the GT3 cars, and you can see the problem that some of the guys have got now with the oil from the TVR much earlier in the race still lingering around on their windscreens.
Yeah, it makes it very murky, very difficult to see where he's going, but Michael continues and setting some very quick laps, but it's still going to be tough to move up into a decent overall position. Just got past Dimitri Deverikos, who's running very well now in that GT3 class. Meanwhile, there's a drive-through penalty for the number 99 car of Stuart Scott and Steve Wood. They didn't stop for long enough in the pits when they made their driver change, and therefore they've had to serve this penalty. Well, at least he's back on circuit. Meanwhile, the race being led very, very comfortably by Andrew Kirkcaldy, who's soon going to make a driver change. Welcome back to Donington Park, where Andrew Kirkcaldy leads in the Ferrari. The Embassy Racing Porsche being driven at the moment by Ben Collins, soon to be taken over by Neil Cunningham. And they're checking some of the figures there on what's happening to the car at the moment. Collins trying to hold on to 3rd place currently as he comes out of Redgate. But that car, actually, I'm not sure that it's running quite as it should be.
Okay, you got any problem? Okay, are you coming into this lap? Of course I am, I'm coming in if I make it to you. Reserve, try to reserve.
Perhaps Ben's got a problem with fuel supply there, Ben. You clearly heard his engineer saying that he needs to flick the reserve pumps on for the fuel, and you can see and hear the car misfiring now as it splutters its way up to Coppice. A bit of confusion on the radio as well. I think they're broadcasting over the top of each other as well.
Need all 4 tyres, Ben. 4 tyres or 2 tyres?
Yeah, definitely. All trying to speak at the same time. He wants to know if it's a driver change. They want to know if they should change the tyres. It's all getting a bit confusing out there.
Oh, make a bloody decision!
Easy, Ben. Family show.
Well,
Big a driver change, yes or no? Yes, of course. Yes, driver change.
the adrenaline pumping for Ben, not so much on the pit wall.
Pit speed, pit speed!
That misfire looks like it's completely terminal now as Ben crawls his way down the pit lane.
Well, they are going to be changing tyres. That was called for. And Neil will now take over from Ben Collins as the fuel also goes on board. It did rather look, though, as if it might just have been out of fuel. They did ask him to go to the reserve tank, so it may just be put some fuel in and the thing will be all right. But, well, that's what they will be hoping, no doubt. Here at the moment is Chris Niarchos, still in the number 34 Ferrari. Crew waiting for him to come in, and Tim Mullen in the centre there will be expecting to close up a bit on the leaders. He is the faster of the two drivers, and we'll see just how quickly he can go. The two Ferraris are the same this year, unlike last year where they had different specifications. The tyre change still going on there on the car of Ben Collins and Neil Cunningham. So they've decided to change all four tyres. Some people, I think, will probably decide to stick on the tyres they started with. It will depend on the wear and the feel and how much time they lose by changing all four tyres.
There'll be a variety of different compounds being run in this race as well. Some teams will choose to go for a softer compound and change tyres. Others will try and stay on the same tyres all the way through. And Neil Cunningham rejoining there after they have changed. Like you say, Ben, all those four tyres.
Well, let's hope that fuel on board means the misfire has gone. In the pits, we saw Michael Caine come in a moment ago. There we are. The car being refueled as Mike Jordan now takes it over. They're still trying to regain that lost ground from a loose wheel earlier on. But Mike Jordan will relish the opportunity of getting in some quick laps, no doubt. David Jones currently running in 3rd place in the number 22 Porsche. It's still Andrew Kirkcaldy and Patrick Pearce, our top 2. We're waiting for the allocated 90 seconds to be over, and then Mike Jordan will be sent on his way. There is a bit of tyre smoke, or what was that from the back of the Jones car?
I think, Ben, it was a locked left rear wheel just as he came through Schwantz there.
That's the lighter side of the car, as it's still loaded up a bit through the corner. And here we are, Andrew Kirkcaldy heading down towards the chicane. And I wonder if he's going to be coming in just yet to change over. No, he stays out there for a bit longer. Wants to build this lead as much as he can before he hands over to Nathan Kinch. We can just see Piers Johnson coming through in the Mosler and coming up behind another of those Z3 coupes. The 2 cars entered into the championship this year. And coming out of the pits onto the circuit, here comes Mike Jordan. Michael Caine now out of the car, and Diana is with him. He's not feeling too well, though.
How was that session?
Well, apart from having the flu and coughing blood up for some reason, and I don't know why, I just started coughing in the car, and I kept trying to swill it down with water. You know, every time I swilled it down, it came back up, so I don't know what's up with me, but we got a great start, and I thought everything was okay, and obviously a wheel came loose. I don't know why, and then they just radioed to me just to try and look after the tyres, because now we've got no change of tyres, so it was just a bit of hard work in the car for me today. But yeah, it was enjoyable, but it's just a shame with the wheel, really.
Into the pits now comes the second Scuderia Corse Ferrari, Chris Niarchos at the wheel, and he will now change over to allow Tim Mullen to get in there and have some fun. And they're also going for a tyre change. Now, are they changing all 4? I think they probably are. Chris Niarchos there, ready to come out once the tyre change is completed. They have to separate the refuelling and driver change from the rest of the work being done on the car. So they can't start to refuel until the tyres are changed. And now they are refueling, they can do the driver change.
Tim just sliding in his little booster seat that he needs to bring him slightly closer to the car's controls, and Dimitris there coming down through the crane of curves once again.
Yes, the Greek driver, very experienced and going well in that number 9 car. There's Neil Cunningham in the Embassy Racing Porsche. I wonder how that's running now. We saw the problems earlier on. I'm not sure, actually, it's still running that brilliantly. It's dropped down the order somewhat from where it was running. It was, of course, in 3rd place in the early stages. It was 2nd for a while before Patrick Pearce overtook. There, though, is our race leader. It is Andrew Kirkcaldy. We saw his teammates just waiting to come out. Tim Mullen, Vince Marul waiting to wave him out once the 90 seconds is complete. But will it fire? Ooh. Get it running, get it running. But that's still within the time, so that's okay. Sensible, getting it fired up sort of 10 seconds or so before it's actually due to go out there. And that's experience from the team there, not waiting to the last moment to fire the engine up.
Good stuff. Tim will be on a charge from the word go here, and Dinah's in the pits with Chris.
Chris, how was that session? Obviously, you're looking a little hot.
Yeah, feeling a little hot. The session was great. The car was unbelievable. The only problem is I lost both earplugs, fell out of my ears on lap 1. So I've had no radio. I'm absolutely as deaf as a doornail because I've literally been driving almost as if I have no earplugs in at all. I couldn't hear the team, and the team was trying to stream instructions to me. I think my pace was good. The car is awesome. I mean, it's unbelievable. But coming down into the chicane again, I literally had no idea when my pit instructions were going to be or what was happening. So I know it sounds a bit daft, but I was almost trying to push the thing back in my ear so I could hear anything. And literally, I came in under a big cloud of cars, and I just literally just had a slide, but it wasn't anything. I don't think we lost much. I think we lost probably 5 or 10 seconds, but, you know, Tim's now in the car, and I think he'll love it. With a new set of tires on, it'll be a rocket, so it ain't over until it's over. But I'm happy, really happy.
Out on the circuit, another Ferrari. This is the United Christian Broadcasters number 21 car. Hector Lester was in the car earlier, but Alan Simonson now in the car, and he's flying. And in fact, I think that he may now well have taken over the lead of the GT3 class. Very, very quick racer. He races out in Australia, although he's actually a Dane, and has done some pretty special things with Ferraris the world over.
Particularly in the last few months, he's won quite a long distance race with David Brabham in the Middle East in one of the 550 Ferraris, but going well today in the smaller 360.
Yes, that's right, and I wonder whether he can hold on to this position at the moment, doing a fantastic job. And Hector Lester actually doing pretty well in the first stint with this car. He's not as quick as his teammate, just letting the Corvette through. He's not racing against that. That's not in the same class, so he doesn't have to worry too much. Meanwhile, the Chris Payton, John Finnemore, Marcos going okay, not quite as well up as we have seen on some of the previous GT races, but I'm sure this car will be competitive as we go throughout the season. It won several races in the class last year, and being hounded there it was by Neil Cunningham. Now, we're just waiting for Andrew Kirkcaldy to come into the pits. The race leader will be handing over to Nathan Kinch. Kirkcaldy has driven an outstanding first stint, as we've come to expect from the Scot, and it is Nathan Kinch, fellow Scot, who will be taking the car over. These two, who won 6 races during 2004, it wasn't enough to win the championship, but nonetheless, they were often the team to beat. They had their problems, they had a few mishaps, and they also had slightly different rules to contend with. This time, they've got a clear advantage. There is the number 43 car. It's Patrick Pearce at the wheel. Presumably, he's coming in fairly soon as well, running in second place. And the 23-year-old from Stratford-upon-Avon has driven an absolutely brilliant first stint, and it's going to be Warren Hughes who will be taking over this car, a true pro. He's one of the A-class drivers in the British GT Championship this year. And to be an A-class driver, you really have to have achieved quite a lot, be a true professional in motorsport. Let's just watch Patrick here as he comes in. Yes, he is slowing it down a bit, and Warren Hughes will be prepared to take that car over. Meanwhile, we're still waiting for the pit stop to be completed for the race leader, Andrew Kirkcaldy. And Nathan Kinch now has taken that car over as Patrick Pearce brings the TVR in. They're going straight into the refueling and driver change and having a look at the tyres, perhaps to decide whether they change them or not. And Nathan Kinch gets away cleanly. Also into the pits, Ricky Cole to hand over to Ryan Hooker. Refueling taking place. While out on circuit, as we predicted, Tim Mullen is flying, and in fact he's closing up on the red and blue Porsche of Neil Cunningham, and that is a battle for third position.
Tim doing a really good job, just as we suspected, and I'm sure Neil will be looking in his mirrors now as the Ferrari grows larger and larger. I think Marcos leaving the pits there as well after his pit stop.
As Neil Cunningham turns into McLean's, and the Ferrari of Tim Mullen definitely getting a little closer. It's Mike Jordan who's just ahead in the number 77 Porsche, the white car. But then Neil Cunningham in third place overall is definitely coming under some pressure from Tim Mullen, who's been lapping that little bit faster over the last few laps. Down towards the chicane they come. Mike Jordan, who's behind them in overall standings, although he's in front of them on the road. Coming out now is Warren Hughes in the TVR. This car was running in second place, remember, and I think it will remain in second place as the battle continues behind them. Neil Cunningham and Tim Mullen, here we go for third position. Well, Tim Mullen's going to try something, I'm sure. He's not going to wait around here. He can sense an opportunity. I wonder if he's going to go for it down towards the old hairpin through the crane as we come. That car of Warren Hughes just getting back up to speed. No, he's not going to quite go through there, but surely it won't be long, Rob.
No, not quite close enough at the old hairpin there, but Tim is just sat there ready to pounce. You can see he's close enough now. He's just waiting for Neil just to make the smallest of mistakes to be straight through.
We're riding on board with Neil Cunningham. He leaves it wide, and indeed, there goes Tim Mullen straight through on the inside. Neil didn't really fight that. He knew that that Ferrari is lapping a lot more quickly, more consistently at the moment, and there wasn't much he was going to be able to do about it. So left the door open. Tim Mullen now up into third place. Neil Cunningham back to fourth. In the pits, Patrick Pearce looking happy, as he should do, after an outstanding stint, and he has put that TVR into second place overall, and I think Warren Hughes will be delighted about that. And problems here for Neil Cunningham. That car doesn't sound quite right.
That's annoying misfire there, reappearing again by the sounds of it, Ben.
Yeah, it's just suddenly cutting out on him as he was coming through the chicane and then cuts back in again. Very difficult to drive smoothly when the car's messing around like that. And hopefully they can source the problem. Bad luck this indeed for MSC. They ran a Corvette in the championship last year, remember? But now they've built up very much their own team to run this Porsche. Oh, wait, Neil, wait. Not quite time to go yet. Get it all pinned down. But of course, all this means a possible podium finish is out of the question. It's the number 35 Ferrari now being driven by Nathan Kinch, who leads this race. Welcome back to Donington Park. It's the first round of the British GT Championship. It's a 2-hour race to start the season, and we're seeing some good battles all the way through the field. We've got the Marcos versus the Ferrari here, the number 16 car being driven by Miles Halford, one of the youngest drivers ever to compete in the British GT Championship, and he's doing a fine job here of a defensive line up towards Coppice Corner and causing the Marcos a little frustration at the moment, but no, nipping through there goes John Finnemore, and actually coming up behind them is the overall race leader. It is the number 35 Ferrari. It's being driven by Nathan Kitch, and he's driving very smoothly as he just consolidates the lead that was handed to him by Andrew Kirkcaldy after a brilliant opening stint to this race. Now, Alan Simonson, he is leading in the GT3 class at the moment in his Ferrari, but he's just allowed Mike Jordan, and he almost hits him as he comes through the old hairpin.
That took me by surprise there, Ben, and nearly fell off my chair. Mike had a big lift on the exit of the old hairpin there, and like you say, the Ferrari had nowhere to go but straight into the back, and you can see the damage on the back of the Porsche there.
Well, hopefully it's only superficial damage. I think it's really just taken the bumper and that wheel arch, and hopefully hasn't done any suspension damage. Mike Jordan driving as hard as he can, and right behind him now he's got Warren Hughes in the TVR. That TVR is running in second place overall, which is a great debut for the LNT team. They're running 2 TVRs. One of them, unfortunately, has gone out of this race. But this number 43 car, driven brilliantly by both Patrick Pearce and Warren Hughes, in a fine second place overall.
Spitting flames coming into Goddards there. He'll be looking to get past that damaged Porsche as quick as he can, and we can just see on board there from Simonson, just trying to sneak past on the end to Redgate, and look at the damage there on the front of the 360.
But look how close Piers Maserati is to the back of the Ferrari in that class. Let's just take another look at what happened.
So the Porsche comes wide, you can see he's on the brakes there, and bang, Alan just hits him clean on the rear quarter. Both very lucky to be able to continue.
Well, a remarkable accident between Porsche and Ferrari at the old hairpin. It's a daunting enough corner going through on your own, let alone when you're barging into people like that. But as you say, it was just one of those things. And Warren Hughes in that purple and orange TVR, putting pressure on Mike Jordan. This isn't actually for overall position. Mike's simply trying to battle his way up the order. You wouldn't think it though, would you? Side by side they were there. And here Alan Simonson has got some pressure on from Piers Maserati in the GT3 class. This is for the GT3 class win, and he's actually moving over to the right, trying to hold a tight line. Well, is he? No, in fact, there goes Maserati past him.
Yeah, Piers just breezing through there around the outside of Alan Simonson, and he takes the lead now of the GT3 battle.
So, Simonson, I wonder if he's got some sort of problem with the car here. He's definitely lost a bit of pace over the last lap or so. A little shake of the head there as well in the mirror. But Piers Maserati would be delighted to have taken the lead of the class, despite all the problems they've had this weekend. And his teammate is in the pits with Diana.
Some good work out there today, and at this moment in time you've just taken the lead in the class.
Yes, I hope so, to take the lead. We had a very bad weekend because we had many problems with the car, and you don't make free practice and qualified, and you make some few laps in qualified. And I thought now we're more lucky and you take the win. Please go very fast. I think I make a good job, and you are first for the moment.
In the pits again is Neil Cunningham in the Embassy Racing Porsche. Back out once more. They're desperately trying to solve this misfiring problem, but it's proving to be somewhat difficult. Now, the number 96 car here, this is being driven by Alex Mortimer at the moment. He's running in 5th place in the GT3 class, not too far behind Ian Flux. And behind him there's problems. That's Steve Warburton, and the wheel's gone mad. It's gone wonky. Rory Fordyce having to virtually stop to avoid him.
Yeah, mechanical failure there for Steve, it looked like, and he did a good job to keep the car out of the wall.
Well, there he is getting out. That left rear does not look at all healthy. Dear, oh dear. Well, a glance down there. He did a fantastic job to keep it off the wall, but Alex Mortimer now definitely closing on Ian Flux. This is for 4th place in the GT3 class, and you've got the contrast here between the extremely experienced Ian Flux and 20-year-old Alex Mortimer, and Mortimer's definitely getting closer.
Yeah, two drivers with hugely differing experience levels, as you say, Ben, but from the look of the attitude of the two cars, I think it's only a matter of time before the Porsche gets by the Ferrari.
Yeah, he's getting that much closer. You know, some of these Ferraris have been having gear-changing problems, I've noticed, in the latter part of this race. Coming out of the chicane, not all of them are changing up very cleanly. Don't know if that's affecting Fluxy. Here comes Mortimer down the inside. Good late braking and slips past Flux, makes it look as though Mortimer's been driving these things for years, but in fact he's in his first year of British GT. He's been racing in the Radical Championship in the past. He was karting just a few years ago, and yet he's driving with a great deal of confidence.
Alex's father, Robin, runs the team there, and he's actually got Tim Harvey helping young Alex with his driving, so I think we can see him running quicker and quicker over the course of the year.
Let's just take another look at what happened to Steve Warburton earlier.
Yeah, coming out of Goddard's third into fourth gear, probably doing 100 miles an hour by the time that suspension broke, and you can see the car getting just so sideways down the pit straight, and Steve has got good car control, and boy, did he need it.
Well, yes, it could have been a very expensive bill if he'd hit that wall on the outside. We're into the closing stages now. Here comes Tim Mullen, now running in third place in the second of the Scuderia Cross Ferraris. Remember, Nathan Kinch still leads in the number 35 car. Some good dices still continuing further behind, and in fact, Miles Holford coming under some pressure from Alex Mortimer, just as Sean Balfe squeezes the Mosler in between the two of them. The yellow and black Mosler. Sean Balfe just guesting really for this race for Eclipse Motorsport, but it's given Alex Mortimer a chance to get up the inside of the Ferrari here, and that puts him up into third place in the GT3 class.
I think Miles Holford could just have been focusing slightly too much on the Mosler there and didn't quite notice the Porsche sneaking through, but good opportunistic piece of driving there from the Porsche.
Yes, excellent stuff. But what about this team, Scuderia Ecos? What a fantastic day it has been for them, because first Andrew Kokodi and then Nathan Kinch have not put a wheel wrong with the number 35 car, and they have dominated proceedings. No one really has got close throughout this one. We're on the final lap now, and Nathan Kinch just has to guide it through the craners, back up the hill the other side, and they should take their first win of the season.
Like you say, Ben, just such a dominant performance from the whole team. Very professional, slick-looking outfit, and they performed on the track as well. So Nathan Kinch and Andrew Kokodi opening their account with a win this year by the look of it.
They won here at Donington last year. There were two races at Donington to start the season last year. They won one of them. But the TVR has gone well to come up to second place. Remember, Warren Hughes at the wheel at the moment. Patrick Pearce driving that excellent first stint. So they are splitting those two Ferraris, because in third place it is Tim Mullen. There is the TVR, and Warren Hughes, having taken over the car in second, really just had to look after the tyres, look after the engine and keep it there, and that's exactly what he's done. Coming through though to take the checkered flag, it is going to be Nathan Kinch and Andrew Kokodi who take the first win of the year, and the perfect start for Scuderia Ecos. Second place will be the TVR of Warren Hughes and Patrick Pearce. Not quite fast enough on this occasion at Donington Park to beat the Ferraris, but as Warren was telling us earlier on, there could be other circuits this year where the TVRs really take the battle to those Ferraris. And don't forget also Mike Jordan and Michael Caine. They had a quick car, but they had problems early on. Here comes Piers Maserati to win the GT3 class. Excellent performance for that team after problems all weekend. So Kinch and Kokodi the winners from Hughes and Pearce, with Mullen and Niarchos third. The Jones brothers finished fourth. In fifth place came Mike Jordan and Michael Caine, who fought their way after earlier problems. In GT3 it was Piers Maserati with Dimitri Tverikos who took the win.
Happy smiley faces today.
Yeah, it's a great way to start the championship. Obviously, we didn't start it that well last year in the opening round, so it's good to start it like this.
Yeah, well, here he comes, your partner in crime. Two smiling faces, I think, today.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, the whole thing's sort of performed faultlessly over the last few days, and you know, it's an excellent result. It's a long race, and we only did hours last year. We weren't really sure what was going to happen in our race, but it performed faultlessly. It was great.
So breathing a sigh of relief.
Yeah, a little bit. Although it's a 3 hour next time, so it might even be harder. So we'll see.
It's always daunting the first round, but it's good to get a result like this. Points on the board.
Me and Dimitri just literally did the deal very late on, so we've had 5 laps, both of us, before the race in qualifying. We qualified okay. We've had problems in the warm-up again. The team had done a mega job, and it was a tough race. Dimitri did a good job early on. I managed to pass Simonson for the lead, and then we just controlled it.
Stefan, a great weekend and a lot of cars taken to the grid this weekend. You must be very pleased about that.
You know, we manage our championship by listening to the competitors. So what worked so well in France, where the format of two 1-hour races was a bit discussed, and here in England, and so we revert to, for some meeting, to long distance race. The next GT race will be with the FIGT at Manico, where they will get a 3-hour race. So I think we put a bit of everything, and if the teams are pleased, we're pleased too.
So Kinch and Concardi have the early advantage, but there's an awfully long way to go, and some top teams who'll be out to beat them as we go through the season. In the GT3 class, Piers Maserati and Dimitri Dverikos have the advantage over Chris Payton and John Finnemore, but again, it's a very wide-open category for 2005.
Well, a fantastic day for Andrew Kirkcaldy and Nathan Kinch. They've really made their mark in the British GT Championship. They came in as favourites and they've taken the first round here at Donington Park. We hope you enjoyed all of the action. Join us next time when we'll be at Croft. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.